Hello, people. It's day 16, and this is your Abhi. So, today we'll be talking about being in a delusional state. Okay, let's begin. So what I wanted to present in this topic is that I come to realization that the more you surround yourself with some state of being you agree with. For example, let's say I believe in Hinduism or Christianity or whatever. The more I surround myself with that, and uh, the more I keep just accepting and accepting it, I make it my reality. I think I have spoken about this in my previous videos, but today I want to emphasize on it because, well, I thought let's talk about it. So it can be anything. For example, yesterday I told about an older grandpa whom I know, whose whole life has been around the topic that he did not have a male child and he still suffers from that thought. So the more you base your fundamentals and your beliefs on a particular thing, you make it your reality and you completely dispose your critical thinking. That's what I notice, I can say, because I have also been in this delusion state until. Okay, let me share with you this one experience. So, I had one of my professor. He is a college professor, but well, he used to tutor us in the tuition. So, one day we were just randomly talking, and then I spoke about how we at home perform rituals to God, whatever. Although still I was atheist back then too. He just said one simple thing: "You're nothing special in this world. You will just die someday, and what's after that? There's nothing. Once you're dead, there's nothing." That one experience, you see, that one sentence literally changed a lot. It brought in a lot of change in me. Because until then, I still used to think that there should be something after death. And, well, it was broken when he said that. So, yeah. It's crazy because every day we have to put ourselves through this delusional thing delusional state that we have to accept in order for us to have an ordered life. Okay, so what I wanted to say is that for us to remain sane and have an ordered life, we have to put ourselves around a delusional state in order for us to be sane, as I said. It's crazy that I am not able to do that. Every time I listen to something new or something I haven't learned about before, it keeps reshaping my point of views and change my ideologies. That's exactly what I'm going through right now, and you can also go through it. Every day there's something you can learn about, and yeah, that's pretty much it. To sum it up, I just wanted to say that you have to accept that delusional state for you to be in a completely sane reality. Okay, well, that's it for that topic. And lately I've been listening to Alan Watts. Yes, somehow his speeches or his way of delivering the thoughts and his ideologies are like pretty fine. I don't know. I accept them without much of questioning, but of course I do question them. Sometimes I do question them, but he makes a lot of sense in what he says. You should definitely check him out. Um, I will put some links in the description. I follow his not his. He's not there anymore. He's not alive. But yeah, I listen to his recordings, which are available on Spotify. Named Psychedelics. Yeah, so you can check that podcast out. They're really amazing. The way he delivers is really convincing, and this is the same case with a lot of preachers. You see, for example, I also told that I used to follow uh, Prakar Ke Pravachan. Yeah, I used to follow him, and before that it was someone else, and before that it was someone else. Before that Sadhguru, before that someone else. Slowly, as I'm interpreting their thoughts and ideologies, sometimes I agree, sometimes I don't. And mostly I agree to them until someone new comes up who will completely break that trust I put upon them. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. So maybe Alan Watts also would not make sense one day. He speaks a lot about the relation with the self and the outside, and how much society controls of what we do, and that society is basically made up of us as individuals. Yes, so there is one point that if we have to change our society, the change should start from us. There's this the poem. I don't know what I could call it, but let me read it out as much as I remember. So so it goes like this. When I was a child, I thought of changing the world, but then after a few years into teenage, I understood that I cannot change the world. Then I thought, with my actions, I can change the nation. With his, hot blood, he thought that he could change the nation. But then soon I realized that is also not possible. Then I came into the adult stage, and during the adult stage, I thought, I won't be able to change the nation, but I will surely be able to change the people around me, or the small community that I am in. But then he grew a little more older, and he realized that I can not even change my society. So why not just try my best to change my family itself? But then now he couldn't change it, and now he's in his deathbed, realizing that only if he would have changed himself, who knows, maybe he would have changed everyone. He would have changed from the lower level, that is his family, to the highest level world. Who knows? That's what he says. It makes sense that way, right? Because if you are expecting someone else to change, even if you put your efforts, it's not possible. Until you change yourself, who knows, maybe you can be an example, so the others might adapt to or react in such a way that they change according to what you want it to be. So the change should begin from you. It's one lesson that I learned. Yeah, it's great. So based upon that, I've come to make a hypothesis, that is, in that case, instead of trying to change someone else or whatever it is, you change yourself. But You're changing yourself to change them, but that's completely stupid, is what I think. Uh, if society has to benefit on a whole, it should start from the individual. So if the individual is happy and delighted with what he is, if he is satisfied, so in that ways, if we focus on individual satisfaction, we can slowly change the society itself. I mean, it doesn't make sense that way. It's not really easy either. Uh, it's tough because most of us think only about um, ourselves, right? I don't know. It makes sense that way. But yeah, so my hypothesis is that if you had to change the whole society, this change should start from satisfying the individual itself. But how do you do that? Maybe, who knows, I might come up with a plan in the future, but right now, no. Or maybe I might realize that it's not really possible. Anyways, that keeping aside, coming back to Alan Watts, today I listened to his podcast on psychedelics, LSD, heroin, drugs, whatnot. From what he says, I am able to figure out that, well, there are certain chemicals which bring in that change where you understand that you are not separate from the other and the other is not separate from you, and that's a great thing. I mean, it makes sense because I experienced that a while ago. Not that I've taken any drugs, but just thinking of how we as an individual work, our mechanism is also based on others' actions. I mean, the outside world is as much related to you as much as you are related to the outside. So you can't really separate yourself from the outside, and it's pretty nice. I mean, he says that the only secret in the world is that you have to understand that you are as much as a part of nature as the nature is part of you, because you both are in the nature. I mean, you are the nature and the nature is you. So you can't really separate yourself. If you have to be there, nature has to be there. And if nature has to be there, you have to be there. So it makes sense that way. He finally explains what's the real secret that's out there. Nothing, to be honest. Except this, which actually and factually makes sense for me as of now, because I experienced it. I mean, I'm not anything separate from the world or the nature or whatever it is. So that's pretty much it about that. Okay, so back a while ago, around three years or something, I was having a conversation with my friend, I guess, or maybe from some kind of media I have come to understand, and it did make sense back then, and it still does make sense, is that the one who's lucky is the one who doesn't have existential crisis. Again, coming back to my first topic, that delusional state. So basically, if you don't really have to identify yourself, or if you don't have an existential crisis, you're basically a happy human. Happy human, not in the sense that he's happy throughout his life, but he or she did not have the uncomfort of not being able to identify themselves and not understanding that their life is actually insignificant and purposeless. lucky are those, and most of them these days are not lucky, because we are slowly understanding that our lives don't make any sense. Back then, in the in the ancient times, everyone just followed. No one had critical thinking. I mean, no one thought much about their actions. It's just it's the rules are written and we are following it. But now we come to a lot of evolution and we think and question from almost everything. And when that happens, you question your life and purposelessness. I mean, although it was there back then, even it all started from Socrates, right? That's what we know. Or that was, I mean, that is what I know as far as I've heard from the sources. But it was very minuscule, yeah. Anyways, so once you understand that purposelessness, it's really hard to cope up with life. Although I did say a remedy that doesn't matter, just do whatever you want. Well, it makes sense for a short term period, but for a long term, not really. So the ones who are lucky are those in a delusional state and who don't have existential crisis, and that's mad people and animals. Mad people, we consider them mad because they are not normal, right? They're lucky, because they have no sense of identity. They don't recognize them as an individual, so in that case, they just live and die. And I feel they're lucky because somehow they don't have to go through the discomfort of not existing. I mean, not having the knowledge of not being existing or existing. And yeah, that's pretty much it for today. I'll see you tomorrow in the next video.